Yo, what is going on YouTube? I am Germ here. So we just finally saw the last weeks of both the LCS and the LEC regular seasons this past weekend. And now obviously we're starting to look ahead to the offseason for a couple of teams, for a couple of teams already who are not even in the playoffs. Just two teams in the LCS and 4 teams over in the LEC. So there's going to be all these storylines, all these players popping up once again. The guys who didn't have teams, the guys who are about to not have teams, all this stuff, who's going where. All of these different things. We're in off-season mode, and as each week passes and more teams get knocked out of playoffs, we're going to get more and more into this mode, especially as we get closer and closer to Worlds, and teams are already starting to talk to players and all that stuff, getting some verbal agreements, unofficial deals, all that type of stuff. But what I want to talk about today was actually an interesting story about a guy who we haven't heard much from this year. He's actually a coach with Cloud9 right now, and that is Zeyzal, and how he could potentially factor into this offseason, maybe for some LCS team, maybe for some other different teams. Who knows for sure? But we can jump right into this. I was trying to pull up the LCS standings real quick because I want to be able to run through some of the different teams and stuff as well. But what we have here is this article. This is from esports.gg beta. It's like a new website or something. I don't even know. I've never really heard of them. But they posted this article on August 9th, a couple days ago. Zeyzal's return to the LCS solidified the contract it almost was and coaching on Cloud9. Zeyzal has had a crazy couple of years. I actually think he was on the Cloud9 team that went to the semifinals at Worlds. And then obviously he has kind of been out of the LCS for 2 full years now, which is crazy. He's obviously had a lot of ups and downs. I think he at times has played very, very well in the LCS. At times he's played maybe not so well, but I think overall he's gotten, maybe an unfair amount of criticism and stuff. Like, he should definitely be in the LCS if you ask me. And he's had some crazy circumstances since we last saw him in the LCS. So sunsetting Solified. I don't know if you guys have heard this story, but this is something that happened a couple years ago. In November of 2020, Zeyzal was told by EG that he was going to be getting replaced by Ignar. Ignar was coming off one of the best seasons of his career on FlyQuest. They made back-to-back finals. They went to World, all that stuff. Zeyzal began to look for new opportunities, but the timing wasn't exactly in his favor. Apparently, EG let him know pretty late in the offseason, so every team was pretty much locked. He couldn't find an LCS team. That sucks. So after he turned down a couple offers to play in Academy, which maybe that was a good decision, maybe not. Who knows for sure, but he definitely had Academy offers. He could have played Academy if he wanted. Zeyzal found an opportunity in the amateur scene. Alluring for his future prospects was Solified. They were basically saying how these contracts work was that if an LCS team was interested, they were just voided. So, that's cool. That's good. Obviously, that'd be different than being on an academy team where even if some other LCS team wants you, you're probably going to have to get sold off or they're going to have to buy out your contract or whatever. And do they really want you that bad? It's always going to have to be a decision to make. And then does your team even want to sell you off or whatever? Or would they rather hang on to you for a little bit and maybe bump you up? But if you're on an amateur team that's not affiliated with an LCS team, apparently some of these teams aren't selling off players. I don't know why you wouldn't try to get a buyout for one of these teams, but hey, they're saying, hey, come play for us, and then you can go whenever, which is kind of a weird premise right off the bat. So Zeyzal said, hey, I was like, okay, that's pretty interesting. I might as well play to keep up my form. And in context with how it ended, it's pretty funny. If you guys didn't know, this is actually what happened. The end of Solified barely qualifies as gallows humor. Fresh off of a strong LCS performance, Zeyzal was the clear strongest player in the amateur scene. Solified maintained their reputation as one of the top amateur teams. Unfortunately, missed payments resulted in Solified Esports withdrawing from the amateur scene before the 2021 LCS Spring Proving Grounds, and the owner, Oddity, received a 3-year ban from Riot Games. I don't even know if 3 years is enough, honestly. You're not paying people like in today's day and age. It's pretty crazy. I guess maybe 3 years is even too much for that. Maybe it's not enough. I don't know, but I can't imagine the guy's going to be back in the LCS scene anytime soon. But pretty much sounds like players weren't getting paid. Oddity announced a ceasing of operations at Solified until all former employees were paid what was owed. My agency at the time was basically telling me like, yeah, this org is great. And then they didn't even get a chance to compete at Proving Grounds that year because the org kind of imploded when they stopped paying people. I don't know if these people, did they get some paychecks, not any paychecks? I don't know for sure. But so Zeyzal went from Evil Geniuses to amateur scene, and then his amateur team broke up like pretty much, I don't know, a couple weeks into the season, something like that. So he did receive more offers to play in Academy come summer, but decided to stream instead. He had 3 accounts in top 50. He was like popping off, still playing well, and So yeah, he just streamed in the summer. But then come the next offseason, this past offseason, the 2022 offseason, Zeyzal had much better luck this time around. I was likely going to play in LCS. Zeyzal conceded. By all means, I had pretty much reached verbal confirmation that I would be starting for Dignitas. Now that's actually kind of interesting that not only does he say, hey, yeah, I had an LCS deal done, I was going to be starting for an LCS team, he actually names the team, which I feel like most people in interviews don't do and wouldn't do, but I do appreciate that. And I don't know if he would get in trouble for like sharing that info with us or whatever, but he says, yeah, I was going to be Dignitas' starting support. Crazy. We would have seen Zeyzal in the LCS this season, obviously in place of Biofrost, and then what would happen to Biofrost? And that's kind of interesting, at least to me, because Biofrost ended up, he's been decent this year. I don't think Biofrost has been amazing or anything, but I think Biofrost has probably been better than people expected he was going to be, and Biofrost now has kind of upped his value in this offseason. I don't know if he's going to end up with the team next year or not, because obviously Dignitas was really terrible, but Biofrost came in and looked decent. That's just another person Zeyzal's going to have to be competing with for future spots. But then Biofrost wouldn't end up with a team at all. Would he have played Amateur Academy, whatever? How would things went for him? I don't know. But so yeah, Zeyzal was slotted in to be the starting support for Dignitas in 2022. Unfortunately, Zeyzal and Dig were not meant to be, albeit for a very valid reason. Without giving too much detail, death in his family kind of shook things up, which obviously super, super unfortunate. All thoughts and everything for his family. Hopefully everyone is doing okay. I mean, this was a while ago at this point, but obviously an unfortunate situation, really shitty, especially when it ends up no matter what shitty situation, but when it ends up affecting career opportunities and stuff like that as well, it can just make it sting even more and have more of a lasting sting on the whole thing. He said, I was not ready to leave after that. So I opted to not play in the LCSS split. It was kind of rough for both the org and I because I backed out last minute. But I mean, there's no way to plan around a death in your family. Absolutely. I don't think anyone, really blames him. Obviously, it sucks if Dignitas got put in a bad spot, but hey, these things happen. Orgs put players in bad spots, just like when he got cut by evil geniuses late into the offseason. Sometimes you have to put other people in spots. At least you mean well. You apologize. You get on with your life. They got to make do. You got to make do. Then Zeyzal goes on to say he made the difficult but correct choice to put him and his family first. He was just kind of remaining home for spring of 2022, but one day, Cloud9 CEO Jack came to him with a coaching opportunity. Zeyzal's addition to Cloud9 coaching staff was not announced until mid-July, but he actually made his coaching debut for C9 in the LCS spring playoffs. The idea was like prepping to see if I wanted to be onboarded for the next split. So that's kind of cool. C9 always treating their, former players and former staff and everything pretty well. Seems like they always keep these guys close. Coming into a team in any position in the middle of a postseason and being able to make an impact is a tall order. But he was obviously going to try his best. We know that the spring playoffs for C9 didn't end all that well. He does say that he didn't want to come in and shake things up right before playoffs, so I just kind of gave more or less his watered down version of feedback that I knew it would be like just reinforcing good habits, because he didn't want to shake things up after they'd just done a whole season without him. He's going to come in at the end and confuse people or something like that. Essentially, I didn't try to shake up general game sense or things like that, introducing complex topics. Since then, Zeyzal has settled into his new position with the Cloud9 coaching staff, working primarily with Sven, which is cool. I think it's awesome to have Zeyzal on the staff while Sven is a guy trying to learn support. The more help, the merrier at this point. He said, when I'm watching a game, I'm mostly looking for what our bot lane can do better and thinking about it from that regard. Zeyzal, in addition, I'll add in things like scheduled reviews, going over map movements in general, presentation style work. I also have minor contributions to draft and things like that. Currently, the position I'm in is very good for me because I have the option to either be a remote or in person. I think I'm getting more comfortable with being in person again. It was a bit rough with my family, but now we're at a point where we moved on the best we can. And then he says this, I'm focused 100% on coaching right now, but maybe during next offseason, something will happen. He says, I'm still interested in playing. I'm just not sure if it'll really take form. I'm still top 20 in solo queue right now. I just started playing again pretty much 2 months ago, so not too bad. So all of a sudden, it seems like obviously things went very, very unfortunate over the past couple of years. He tries to get on an org, and they're not paying him. The org kind of explodes. Then he doesn't have a team. Then he goes to streaming, and then obviously the stuff with Dignitas didn't work out. And now we head into 2022 offseason, 2023, whatever, where Zeyzal has a coaching spot. He doesn't have a team, but it looks like he wants to come back. But again, with only 10 spots in the LCS, the spots are always going to be competitive. Would he want to take an academy spot, an amateur spot again? Who knows for sure? And is an LCS team just going to take a shot at him this point after being 2 years removed from the LCS? I don't know, but this is another guy to keep on your radar coming into this offseason. Zeyzal seeming like hopefully the worst is behind him, and he might be ready to go for a new team in 2023. But that's pretty much it for this video today, guys. Let me drop a like if you did enjoy it. I would appreciate that so much. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think about anything we talked about in this video today. Subscribe, stay up to date on all my latest content. Hope to catch you guys in the next one. But until then.